next time everybody say yeah. Put your hands together.
What's up, CFO gang? It's your boy Jay Tuck, real Cowboys fan stand up, and you are now tuning in to CFO Sports. So salute to everyone in the chat, man. I got my guy Mark Holmes in the building. Salute to Mark Holmes, man. One of the greatest Dallas Cowboys content creators. You definitely got to give him a follow if you haven't already. I'm not sure, can you really call yourself a Cowboys fan if you're not following Mark Holmes? I just don't think you can, bro. Salute to everyone in the chat, man. We got some fun things to talk about. So I know, y'all, we had a big win, a big 40-burger win on Sunday. We was all ecstatic. We was gloating a little bit. But with this Dallas Cowboys schedule, things change quickly. So as you know, Thanksgiving is on Thursday, man. So we got to get ramped up to face these New York Giants. And y'all know, every time we face the New York Giants, I have to bring in one of my favorite people. She's not a guest. She is family. She's absolutely crushing it. She is killing it with all things football. If you're trying to get your money right, follow her for those parlay picks. If your fantasy football team is slacking a little bit, reach out to her to get some help with your fantasy football team. So CFO fam, I'd like to give a warm welcome to my friend, Stephie Smallls. What's going on, Stephie?
What's up? I'm so happy to be back. And, not normally do I come on a Cowboys show and say I'm happy to be back, but I love you. I love your community. So excited somewhat to talk about this game, but always nice to chat with you.
Yeah, like I said, you're pretty much family. Now, I'll be honest with you, Steph. Some other teams in our division, when they come on my show, they don't get the same red carpet treatment when you come on. But anytime you're here, my subscribers, we love you in this community, man. You're pretty much one of us. So we got a lot to talk about. But how's things been going your way? I see you on Twitter. I see you online, just setting things on fire. How's things going your way?
Yeah, things are good. Honestly, it's been a fun NFL season. Mm-hmm. Even the New York Giants, obviously, I had them at 6 wins, so we're sitting at 7. Season's already a success for me here. So I'm happy my team's winning. Bets are doing good. Everything's good right now.
Right. So you already met your quota. So that's a good transition. So I want to kind of start, right? Because I know when we played you guys, the first game, we would try to do a show. You was sick. I was sick. We just we can't do a show. We'd be a snot nosing all over the place, right? Yeah. But, with the way the season has gone, Stephie, I want to start off. What was your thoughts coming into the season? I know we did some draft content together, and I loved your guys' draft class. But you said kind of expectations around 6 wins or so. But what was your thought process bringing in a brand new coach? You had Daniel Jones in this rookie class versus where you guys are standing currently.
Yeah, I think after you've been a New York Giant fan for, long enough, we didn't expect much. Any realistic fan didn't expect much out of the season. It's been a lot of disappointment, right? We had Joe Judge and that didn't go very well. And then you bring in Dable and you try not to get too excited. You bring in Shane, try not to be too excited. You see the draft, it goes well. When we were winning games, I was shocked because you also look at this roster. There's not a whole lot to like there. I mean, there's some young pieces that are very talented. You have Saquon there, obviously. But it's impressive what they're able to do. I think it shows really what a culture change actually means, and that's what Joe Judge was like trying to do. So I had low expectations. It's like, let's figure out what's up with Daniel Jones. Can Saquon get back to where he is? Can this O-line improve? And let's go from there.
Yeah, and I definitely agree. And I think when you look at the New York Giants, and honestly, the NFC East in entirety, like, you know, I was one of the people, I'm an NFC East believer. You know, it's just maybe it's just something in me, Steph, where it's like, even last year, I just didn't like the NFC least because I always felt like the NFC East was one of the most talented divisions in football. We're just dysfunctional. You know, we're just a bunch of dysfunctional teams. But if we ever put it together, I feel like we're just as competitive as any other division in football, and you're seeing that really translate on the field, especially this season, with it kind of being a tighter race than a lot of people expected. But you mentioned the culture change, going from Joe Judge to going off to, you know, DeBall. You know, what was your thought process on that, and what's the main things that you're seeing that's different from last year to this season, just in-house with the overall culture of the New York Giants?
Yeah, I think what Joe Judge really failed to do is get the most out of each player, play them in positions that are going to set them up for success. You're seeing what he's doing with Daniel Jones, you know, to most teams that, you know, ones that have their franchise guy, maybe what Daniel Jones isn't doing is that impressive, and that's okay. But for us, like, he's making strides, and they're putting him in, you know, positions where he just threw his first pick since week 3. That's not something you're normally able to say about Daniel Jones.
Right.
He's using a playbook that really is highlighting all of these players' talents. And I think the big difference is, we were losing games at the end, and then now we're winning games. So there's this difference in clean football, just structured football. They're not doing anything fancy, but they're making some of the best halftime adjustments that I've seen in football outside of last week. And it's really impressive to see, because for a while, I mean, I was shutting games off last season, and I've never done that. I've been born and raised a Giants fan. I was shutting games off. I just couldn't watch them. It was awful. So it's been, I mean, obviously awesome as a Giants fan. Like I said, like, people can get all excited. If we don't make the playoffs, we don't make the playoffs. Like, we're heading in the right direction, where I know this team is going to be very, very competitive in years to come.
Right. And that's an important thing. It's just like, are you heading the right direction? Right. And that's something I always preach on my community. Right. Do you see a trend line in the right direction? And I feel like when you look at the New York Giants, like, even just from the standpoint of, you know, what was kind of going on with your wide receiver core, like, I kind of see like your brand new coach, like, saying, if you guys don't fit this culture, you're not going to be in this locker room. And I know, you know, here in Kansas City, a lot of Chiefs fans are excited about getting Kadarius Toney. But for them to move on with their first round pick from last year so early, it kind of lets you know the mentality in that locker room. So sometimes things like that can really just have a ripple effect. Now, I know we play on Thanksgiving. We got the game coming up. But there's a topic that I think that you can help a lot of Dallas Cowboys fans with, Steph, because you, more than anybody, being a lifelong New York Giants fan, has seen this guy from start to finish. And you know that question is coming to Odell Beckham Jr. So I've been calling this, Steph, the Odell Beckham Jr. Bowl. You know, I know that he's kind of choosing between the Cowboys and the Giants, vice versa. We're kind of hearing some things kind of circulate. And you tweeted something today, which really got me kind of looking at things differently as well in Dallas. But what is your thoughts on, first, Odell as the player, but also what do you think that he can bring at this juncture in his NFL career to either the Cowboys or your New York Giants?
And I think he would play not a super different role on like either team, but I think fits a little bit differently. Whereas like you guys are more of a full package. You guys are ready. If you continue on the trajectory, like it's not a doubt in my mind that you guys can make a nice playoff run. Like you are one of the most well-rounded team. You have Dak back, who is now like, not that he wasn't, but he's really like showing you why people say Dak Prescott and you get excited about it, because Dak Prescott is a phenomenal quarterback. And when he is on, it's like lights out. You don't stand a chance. And I think this OBJ Bowl thing,
not to cut you off, but that's why we love you, because even as a New York Giants fan, you can admit that, right? Because you know, the Eagles people, they would never say that, right? So Washington people, but it's okay to say, you know what, the Cowboys do have a good quarterback, and you know other teams do as well. But yeah, that's why you're welcome here, Steph.
And guess what? You're paying him to do well too, so it's not coming out of my pocket.
Right, exactly, exactly.
part of it. And I think that's what it comes down to too with OBJ is like, you look at the player, he's obviously a phenomenal talent. He can elevate a roster. He's also 30 years old. He also has had 2 torn ACLs, and that's something to look at. Is he going to get $20 million a year? That's something that you have to look at from like a team perspective. Where does that set you back? If you're a team like the Cowboys and you kind of have what I see as a little bit more wiggle room than the Giants committing to, as much as it would be a great story. Like, I'm not going to act like I'm going to cry if OBJ comes. Like, I'm going to be very happy if OBJ comes back home, obviously. And I've been very critical of him over the years. But there's also going to be a pretty big financial price tag that comes with this. But boy, to your Cowboy fans, Jerry Jones, everyone is kissing his butt.
and see, that is why I'm kind of torn, to be honest with you, Steph, because like when this whole idea kind of came out before the Bears game, and we kind of, was going into the bye week, I was like, it's just not going to happen. It's just something to talk about, but nothing's going on. But then I heard Micah talking about it. And then I heard DeMarcus Lawrence talk about it. I was like, okay, it's just Twitter chat. Then I heard Zeke talk about it. And then they asked Dak Prescott about it. And then CeeDee Lamb and Mike, and like it just kept transpiring. I was like, okay, this is a little bit different, because normally in Dallas, it's like we know a lot of free agents kind of use Dallas Cowboys as leverage, but you never really hear the players kind of rally vocally about, we want this guy, right? And then if you even go back to Sunday, like I said, we got a great win versus the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings. And right after, as soon as J-Ron Curse got his cell phone, tweeted, if y'all think we're scary now, wait until we get OBJ. And I'm just like, this is different. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, and then even Dak Prescott today was like, he's been in communications with them. He wants him here. He wants OBJ to know he's welcomed in Dallas. Like, they really want him to be a part of this team. It's different. So that's why I'm thinking either the Cowboys already know something, or I don't know, Steph, but it just feels different now. If I put on my functional hat, right? I'm putting on my front office hat, right? Does it make sense to give OBJ, as you mentioned, coming off 2 ACL injuries, he's in his 30s, right? $20 million, a multi-year deal, without him really having to prove himself? Absolutely not, because we just let a guy who was more than proven, who's having a phenomenal year in Cleveland, go, he's only going to cost you $14 million. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, I think from the front office aspect, it doesn't make sense. But from the fan perspective and the player perspective and what it can really ignite with this team, I'm all for it. So I'm kind of torn. If you had to gauge it, because you like to do bets, if you had to bet, what is the odds, or where would you put your money on OBJ going?
Yeah, it seems like Dallas, it's starting to become like a little bit too much buzz, where I did this whole thing on my show last week where I broke it down, calculated all it out. We look at where the families are, where the history is,
right,
because him and his baby mama both have family in Texas. He's already said that he doesn't want to go somewhere like KC because he doesn't want to live in KC for 4 years.
Right.
It seems like Dallas is the front runner right now. That's probably where I would bet. A little too much chatter for me. Like, I almost think that this is like an OBJ, I don't know what it is. Like, you guys have to know too, this guy loves his attention no matter what. He loves a good story. He loves that everyone is all over him. But it's funny because then, like, on our end too, they asked Brian Dable, they're like, oh, when is OBJ coming in to visit? And he's like, I'm not going to give any more information on that right now. Like, that's whatever. And then Darius Slayton went on NFL Network yesterday, and he was getting asked about it, and he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do all that, or text him like he knows where his home is, and like gave this like little smirk at the end. Saquon said the same thing. He's like, I don't need to tweet to him, I have his number. So it's like, I don't know, it's like two sides of the spectrum.
Right.
So it's so weird. And then watch both of us be idiots, and he goes and plays for the 49ers.
Right, yeah, something weird, man. And I feel like from this standpoint, to be honest with you, Steph, the Cowboys have to get him now, because it's like, you've been doing all of this, and if he walks and goes to, like, I don't know, 49ers or hell, Carolina or something weird like that, you're just gonna be like, have all this egg on your face. So I know people are saying in the chat is like, we're not going to pay him. He's going to have to take a low ball offer. But I don't know, y'all. This is a whole lot of extra. You're bringing out all the stops. You're bringing out all the recruiting to bring this guy. And if he curves you, it's going to look embarrassing on this franchise if he goes elsewhere. So we are still on OBJ watch. That's why I've been calling, Thursday's game the OBJ Bowl. You know what I'm saying? It should be a little OBJ, little trophy, and, the winner gets them. But, I
don't
feel.
think Dallas fans, will you guys be okay if he comes back to drive the Giants?
I mean,
I saw someone's tweet today and they were like, very upset that he's even considering the Giants. It's so funny to me.
Well, here's the thing. If he goes back to the Giants, it's going to save me a lot of trouble, Steph, because I ain't got to delete those tweets I got about OBJ. But if he goes to Dallas, I gotta do some cleanup, saying, oh man, I always loved him, always been a huge fan, and he's always been my guy, But I wouldn't be opposed if he did go to New York. It would make sense. I really just want him for the rental. I really want him on the 1-year deal, rent him throughout the playoffs, and then we can always renegotiate in the offseason. But, you do draft content, I do draft content. There's some other options out there. It's a lot younger and a lot cheaper.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
nice
so
you guys, if you could get him on a Rams deal, right? Like they have the perfect scenario.
Right.
Help them win a Super Bowl, like that's ideal. But if this guy wants a 3-year contract, what are you gonna do? Right.
Why won't he accept Bitcoin for us? We actually have blockchain.
Right.
Blockchain is the official sponsor of the Dallas Cowboys. Just play for some Bitcoin, OBJ, for 7 games, and then we'll let you on your way. But I don't know, but like I said, we're definitely watching. Let me know in the chat, man. How are y'all feeling? I see people talking about the income tax in Texas and saving that. Also, he kind of wants to be in a warm location, which is Texas. That's great weather. And his dad's in Texas, and his dad's been doing like a media circuit with Zeke's dad. So I don't know.
His baby mama's family lives in Texas.
Yeah, so
I've done all.
You've done all the research, right? So you went layers deep, right? So we're competing tug of war.
Yeah, of course.
So we'll see what happens. So the Cowboys Nation, I don't know, but I think that the team would kind of like this spark. It's kind of like Christmas, right? You got all your kids asking for a dog. Everyone's asking, just go get the damn dog. Just go.
I think that's great for you, and that's like a good piece. Like maybe even like. We talked about culture earlier, like maybe from a culture standpoint, it's like showing these guys, like we'll do anything that we can to win. Like, and OBJ is a piece that does help you. Like, he's coming in, he doesn't have a lot of time, he's been out. So, and we see these guys come back from ACLs just fine. We saw him do it on the other one last year. So I think that it's going to be definitely interesting. I think he's probably clowning both of our teams.
Right. It's trolling.
End up on the 49ers.
Right. It's like, yeah, Miami doesn't have any state tax and it's warm weather. He's going to go to South Beach. You're going to be sitting there like, yeah, I never wanted him anyway. He's old, going out to ACL.
And that's why I tweeted, I'm like, my favorite part of this is going to be when the fan bases start calling him washed.
Right. Yeah, he's washed. We can't wait for the first drop pass. Like, see, I told you we made the right decision. So we'll definitely have to stay on OBJ watch. Now, speaking of more important business, we got a game on Thursday on Thanksgiving. Now, to be honest with you, Steph, as a Cowboys fan, Thanksgiving has been very unpleasant for me.
2018, right? Last time you guys have a W?
2018. So I was sitting out there last year versus the Raiders, the easy money game versus Washington, the Cole Beasley game in Buffalo. It's just been nonstop ruining my favorite holiday. Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday, right? So hopefully the Dallas Cowboys can overcome that and get a victory versus your New York Giants. But going into the game, what is your expectations for Thursday's matchup?
It's so funny because we agreed to go to do this show when I was a little bit more optimistic. There wasn't as many injuries. We didn't just lose to the Lions. I mean, I don't expect us to win this game, honestly. I think that if we do, it's, you Cowboys have obviously bigger problems on Thanksgiving. I don't know what the focus is, stuffing mashed potatoes or what.
Right, carbs.
You guys obviously have an issue with Thanksgiving. The only way that the Giants could have maybe wear you guys down is on the ground. Saquon didn't look great last week. I think part of that is, though, was getting a lot of carries, and this was bound to happen. But he's still 953 yards and 6 touchdowns on the year isn't too bad. I won't complain about it. And our run D isn't great, and you have Tony P, like I like to call him, going off right now. So it's not a great matchup. Your pass D is obviously great, and we don't pass the ball. So for that, you just take that out of the game entirely. I'm not worried about. But we're gonna have to get something going on the ground.
Yeah, and I normally would agree, like, hey, this is a game the Cowboys should definitely win. But as you mentioned, it's not once on Thanksgiving, but also it's a divisional game. And we all know these games can kind of just get weird. And I think, when it comes to this New York Giants team, it starts and it ends with Saquon Barkley, who's currently second in rushing right now and fourth in, from scrimmage yards as well. So he can do a lot of things in this offense that can really hurt you. Now, historically, it's always been Saquon, the big play, and then he kind of vanishes versus Dallas, right? But even that big play can change the course of the game, because I feel like the game plan for your New York Giants offensively is slow things down, kind of play the time of possession game, get Saquon in motion, simplify the game plan for Daniel Jones, because Daniel Jones can use his legs. Like, he's not, Jalen Hurts or Lamar Jackson by any means, but he can scramble, move the chains, keep the play alive. So you definitely got to be aware of that. But where I really think the Cowboys can have that impact is just like you mentioned, Steph, is getting pressure, right? Getting pressure, because you guys are giving up like 30 sacks, I believe, thus far, which is like 6 in the NFL. So with our front four, and especially if that front four shows up on Sunday, it could be a long day for Daniel Jones. But about your offensive line, I know you guys have Andrew Thomas, but another player that I was very high on coming out the draft was Evan Neal. So let me get your thoughts on Evan Neal. What is your thoughts? 'Cause I've seen some Giants fans are kind of like, I'm not really sold yet. But how are you feeling about his rookie campaign?
Yeah, and you were higher on him than I was, and I'm the first to admit it. Like, everyone that
we
knows me,
switched.
I am very honest.
You were higher on Tyler Smith, and I was higher on
which is so funny, which I'm like still pissed off that you guys got Tyler Smith, because I think he's fantastic, and what he's going to be able to do in this league is, like, you guys haven't even seen what he's capable of. Like, right. I adore Tyler Smith. He is like the gritty, nasty type of player that I like. Like, right. he plays nasty football, and I adore that. So
he does.
Evan Neal reminds me of Andrew Thomas in that we probably will not see him showing us that potential until next year or the year after. Andrew Thomas has come into his own, is playing absolutely phenomenal, hasn't allowed a pressure in, I don't even know what the count is at this point. Evan Neal is struggling a little bit, but you kind of expect that, especially with the type of games that the Giants are playing. But he was getting better every day up until, that injury, and now we haven't seen him. I'm hoping, we see him sooner than later, because you can see the impact that it's having. The problem with this Giants team, right, is there's no depth. Right. So, and that's what was always scary going into the season, is like, someone goes down, who's the next guy up? You barely have a second. Now you're like trying to pull people off the streets to play. So it's Evan Neal is playing good. Yeah. He's not playing great, though.
Yeah, he's a rookie. And that's what a lot of people have to...
He's a rookie expected to do a lot.
Right. And I think the same thing with Tyler Smith, right? Because, ultimately, if you don't have the injury with Tyron Smith, a lot of people question what we even saw Tyler Smith play this year, because the Cowboys mentality was he was going to play left guard, and you even saw a glimpse of it. They kind of showed their hand a little bit on Sunday, right? Because they moved Jason Peters to left tackle, and then they kicked him in. And then, of course, Jerry Jones can't hold water, Steph. I'm not sure if it's like you got, we have in Dallas where your owner just can't shut up and he has to tell everything to everybody.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. Yeah. So Jerry Jones came out and said today that, hey, as soon as Tyron Smith is back, they're going to move Tyler Smith inside. I'm like, why do you need to reveal that to the world, right? So I feel like with Tyler Smith, just like you said, tough, gritty. There's been some booms. There's been some head scratching moments as far as penalties are concerned. But thus far, he's been phenomenal, especially with the amount of reps he got this offseason, them just tossing him out the tackle, right? So I feel like, the same thing with Evan Neal. It's not like he's just outstanding right now, but we look up the next 2 to 3 years. I really like what the Giants did with this draft class with Kayvon Thibodeau. Now, you mentioned about the depth. I think that's something that's really going to come into play. I think Adoree Jackson's going to be out. I was high on Wan'Dale Robinson coming out the draft out of Kentucky. He finally had his welcome game. He goes out with the ACL. You got some injuries over the board with your tight end as well. So who is really going to step up to kind of fill those role? And I'm going to talk about your wide receiver core most specifically.
Yeah, it's rough out there. It's not pretty, let me tell you that much. That's why I always laugh, because, you have all these other fans of other teams, and they're like, if only they had blah, blah, blah. I'm like, have you seen the New York Giants wide receiver room? It is the worst in the league. And
right.
there is not another room that is worse. That I will fight with you about. And I have toned it down lately, but there is not a worse wide receiver room. Most of these guys that start for this team, you wouldn't even know their name before this year. Darius Slayton has been stepping up, and it's awesome. He was struggling with drops, and that's kind of, he wasn't even looking at playing this year up until some injuries, and he has totally filled that gap. Him and Daniel have always had really good chemistry. The problem is there's just got to, facing a team like Dallas, I don't know how much success Darius Slayton is going to have. Can he be explosive and can he have those big plays? He absolutely can. A lot of names and guys that lucky for us and where we could probably keep the defense on their toes is like, you don't have a lot of tape on these guys. It's Lawrence Cager and Marcus Johnson and Richie James, like guys that no one really has seen.
He pulled out the media guide.
You don't know even who these guys are here. We've got who knows lining up where. Daniel Bellinger was a big hit for us.
Yeah.
Like, that was a killer. And you've seen him, like what has happened without him there, and I'm looking forward to getting him back. If this game was on Sunday, we probably would see him. It looks like he will not be in this game. Kind of a fluke injury there, needing eye surgery and everything. It's awful. But yeah, it's rough. And something that really hurt us last week was Graham Gano was sick, like getting IVs before the game. He is automatic, one of the best kickers in the entire league. We are very fortunate to have him. But he was missing like crazy last week, and that's unheard of. And for the New York Giants, we need those points.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think that's the one thing that kind of got me concerned, specifically in Dallas, right? You're starting to hear a lot about illness, right? Illness. We had a few players that were out with this illness, and it's just like, all right, how is it really going to translate, especially on Sunday? So, we definitely have to keep an eye on that, because I don't want to say that C word, but you're starting to hear, players missing out. We had Kelvin Joseph, who he started the game on Sunday, and then halfway through, he was out with this illness and had to, come out. So it's going to be interesting. So, Steph, before I let you go, 2 questions, right? Because Thanksgiving is coming up, what's on Steph's plate, right? She's getting ready to watch the game. Dinner is served. What is on your plate? What is the main things that you got to have for Thanksgiving? And then what is your score prediction for Thursday's game?
I am first of all, I love Thanksgiving too. It's my favorite holiday. Just my favorite. I love football, being able to stuff my face, and drinking. That's all I need in life. I will be just fine. Put my stretchy pants on. I'm good. I love stuffing, love mac and cheese, love mashed potatoes. Give me extra gravy. Give me the dark part of the turkey. And I think that's probably what I'm filming. I like carbs.
Carb loading.
Oh gosh. And score prediction. I think that the Giants will stay in this because of the divisional matchup. I think it'll probably be 24-20 Dallas.
24-20. That's a close one. A much better job than the Minnesota Vikings did. And yeah, I agree with you. I got to have the mac and cheese. I got to have the sweet potatoes. Now, are you a eat? Because I saw this question on Twitter, and I was like, I am a eat after the game, because normally we kind of play the 3 o'clock game. Do you eat before the game or after? Or during?
I eat before and after.
Oh, well, yeah. Before.
Yeah. No, we normally eat before. So I will eat before, usually go for seconds before we hit dessert, but pie won't come till after the game. It depends. I'll probably be upset this year because, it still hurts to lose to Dallas. I'm not going to act like it doesn't make me upset.
It's not that bad.
Nice on the show, but
it's not that bad. It's not that bad. Well, yeah, we'll try. Like I said, the Thanksgivings that we had the past few years, I've really been sick to my stomach where I really didn't feel like eating. But yeah, as far as prediction, I think the Cowboys win this one 31-14. Now, here's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that what we saw last Sunday is not a mirage. That's who we really are. But we're not who we saw, that previous game versus Green Bay. So hopefully we're able to kind of hold tight with the offense, keep the run game going. I see people in the chat, 49-6 Dallas. They want another blowout. I'm all for blowouts. I would love to start eating halftime. All right, we got everything in the bag. But yeah, I think 31-14 Dallas. Big day for Tony Pollard and also for our defense as well. Well, Steph, I appreciate you for coming on. Like I said, you're not a guest, you're a family. The CFO gang, we love you here. But go ahead and let everyone know where they can find you.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks for having me on. As I said, like, I love coming on and talking with you, and your community is always so welcoming and fantastic. I am not one of the bad ones as far as Giants fan goes. Maybe don't push my buttons on Thanksgiving though.
Right.
But I'm very thankful for you. And you guys can find me at Twitter at Stephie Smallls with 3 L's. All my work is with Champions Round, and I post all my stuff on there, my shows, everything, YouTube. But yeah, thanks for having me on.
Anytime.
Don't pick our ass too hard.
Hey, you know, like I said, I'll take a win in any capacity because I feel like right now the Cowboys we're scrapping, right? We're scrapping because the NFC East is so tight, and just one loss can definitely change things because it's like, you know, we kind of like when we started things off, it was like the Eagles, Cowboys all off season. But here's the Giants in the way, and then now you got the Washington football team. You know, they're breathing down our necks a little bit, so we need to create a little space, a little elbow room. So the Cowboys definitely need to get this win. But hey, Steph, I appreciate you. Keep doing up all the incredible work. You know, I follow you on Twitter everywhere, like we talk. So keep going. Sky's the limit. Everyone in the chat, if you're seeing me for the first time, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit that share button. I appreciate all the support. We got a big game on Thursday. Everyone go out there and represent. Follow me on all social media platforms at jtuck151. Merch store below, CFOsportstalk.com. Appreciate all the support there. And before we go, I want everyone to take this week to really just slow down. Be thankful for the people that you have, the things that you have. Show thanks. Enjoy your family, as Steph mentioned. Enjoy the food, as Steph mentioned as well. And enjoy some football for the both of us. So, you know, I just want everyone to kind of take this time to just be thankful, right? And so I appreciate each and every one of you guys in the chat. Appreciate all of you. Steph, appreciate you again. I want everyone to stay safe, stay blessed, stay encouraged, and go Cowboys. Peace.